lot of conversation has been surrounding. This has been the focus of the draft. They have talked about Shedeur Sanders more than they have talked about the top 5 picks in the draft combined.
Facts.
Ish, I want to start with you.
Okay.
And we're gonna go three topics in there. So let's stay on one.
All right.
The first topic, and I'll give you guys the 3 topics so y'all can be excited for them. The first topic is what could Shedeur have done better, and what could Prime, along with that, what could Shedeur and Prime have done better? 2, do you think this was the NFL trying to teach them a lesson? And 3, we'll hold 3. But let's start with those 2 questions.
Can I answer those together?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
That's why. Yeah.
Okay, so 1,000%. Especially, let's hit the first one first. What he could have done better is tap dance a little bit, for lack of a better term. Not tap dance like, act like, what's Kevin Hart friend that we hate? Tiffany Haddish. Don't act like, someone like that.
Nuts. That's fucking crazy. But you can't pause none of her movies.
Chill out. Y'all not chilling.
Yo, listen, Tiffany Haddish was walking around the Oscars handing out fried chicken. Oh my God. You
gotta represent.
Yeah, no, she has been all time on that. Listen, I can't even say that word on here. But I think Shedeur, Deion, the camp, handicapped himself to a certain degree when you don't speak to certain teams or when you don't care about certain interviews. They said he bombed the Giants interview, which is crazy to think about. If that is true, that's super crazy. But I do think it was only so. I think if he didn't want this to happen, he had to be humble, quiet, kind of the certain level, certain type of black person they're looking for. Mm-hmm. Because, leading to the second point, they were 1,000% trying to send Shedeur a message. You don't draft... Like, the Browns had several opportunities to draft him higher. It was obvious they, one, either did not want to draft him, which does look weird with that picture of the GM, or 2, they wanted him to be humble. I think he was in a super tough position, but the NFL has wanted to send messages to several players over the last couple years, and they've all been sent.
Facts. Stunner.
Sure. Interesting.
I will repeat the question.
No.
Oh, you good? Okay.
I'm just pondering how deep I want to go into this.
Okay.
Go.
It's a rabbit hole.
Go all the way. Pause.
The first thing I think that Shedeur could have done differently happened. It's way before the draft process. I think he probably should have went to a college that wasn't coached by his dad. That's number 1. Because I'm not saying the NFL penalized him for it, but it just looks like everything in your life has been given to you.
I want to pause you right there and say I completely agree with that. All right.
Yeah. So number 2, I think Deion could have Shedeur. I think the thing that one of the things in my mind that really fucked up Shedeur was when I think he went out to the bowl game, had New York Giant color shoes on. It's like, you're alienating yourself when you're doing that, because if they don't want you, then who is going to? Because Deion made it clear.
We're dictating.
We want to go to New York. There's certain teams we're not going to play for. I think they even had an interview a year ago where they asked Deion, like, where you want him to go, and he was like, oh, well, we got it certain places.
Yeah.
And they was like, Cleveland? He said no. And he like laughed.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't. It's just certain.
He got a
stuff
tweet about Cleveland. He got a tweet about Cleveland.
Yeah. But and the last thing I think he could have did was go through his progressions faster, have a stronger arm, be the athlete that Deion was, which things that he can't really control.
Yeah.
So it's like,
could have been Cam Newton. Should have been Cam Newton.
You should have just, you know what I'm saying?
Be the greatest athlete of the modern era at quarterback. Like,
and it's like, not to go off topic or nothing, but Shedeur was a fantastic college quarterback. I want to preface my statements by saying that he was a great college quarterback. We have seen many college quarterbacks who lack the physical skills go to the NFL and be average. I said it when he was at Jackson State. I thought Shedeur Sanders and in the NFL is gonna look like Teddy Bridgewater before he tore his knee up. That's not a bad quarterback, but that's not a superstar.
That's facts.
Are you willing to draft the the teams who drafted quarterbacks above Shedeur? And it was like Cam Ward, Tyler Shuck, Jackson Dart. Mind you, I think Cam Ward was the only good quarterback in this draft. Or at least good, you know what I'm saying? Good, that's going to be good in the league. So after that, it's a toss-up for me. I think if Shedeur was, like I said, a better athlete or had a stronger arm, he would have. I don't think the league would have let him fall to the 5th round if they thought he was a franchise quarterback. I don't care how bad of a lesson they want to teach.
1,000%. I think you're right.
Okay.
If they think you're a franchise quarterback, they don't care about your. Shedeur ain't never get in no real trouble. He's not an alcoholic. He don't do cocaine. We've seen quarterbacks who do those things get drafted in the 1st round.
And that's the thing. Even if he did,
you know what I'm saying?
If he was Cam,
if you were a generational, like, because they were, that's what it was like. They were talking about, Deion was trying to group him into Travis's conversations.
Yeah, about 2 generational athletes.
Like, they were both generational prospects, and Shedeur just never was that to me. I thought he was a great college quarterback. Like, oh man, what's my man's name who played for Boise State? Kellen Moore, who's the coach in wherever he the coach is. My man who played at Hawaii, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. May God rest his soul. But they were great college quarterbacks, leading all-time passing touchdowns. Sometimes it just doesn't translate, and I don't think the NFL thinks he will translate because he's not the athlete. If you're not going to be a great athlete, have a mediocre arm, and be a slow processor, the league's not going to be willing to bet on you.
Okay.
And then the last point I'm going to make is when you have those 3 downfalls and they don't think you're going to be an elite quarterback, they don't want the media circus with it. That's all
true.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Both of y'all are right. I want to start with, again, saying that I do agree with Stunna. From the jump, I get why he did it, but I know for a fact Prime staying with Shedeur for the entire 4 years is a problem. Even if Prime would have stayed at Jackson State and after 2 years he would have went to the SEC or ACC and played how he played, Shedeur would be looked at differently.
Right.
You're absolutely right. Everything looks like it's been given to him. But I want to start with Ish started first because it's been very interesting to watch the media circus behind this because of the division of the tap dancing niggas on TV, the white men on TV, and then the real niggas on TV. Because every nigga on TV that is one of us for real understands the scope of this situation.
Right.
We understand what is going on, which is why I'm agreeing with Stunner. I don't think Shedeur has this. Not I don't think. Shedeur doesn't have the strongest arm. He's not the best athlete, and he took way too many sacks that he just shouldn't have taken. Because a lot of people are like, his offensive line was bad. Okay, if we all can see that, you should know that, which means after your second or third read is in there, stop trying to make a play. And that's what he wasn't doing. I've watched every Shedeur Sanders game since he was at Jackson State his second year. Like, I love what they had going. I love Travis. I love it all. But I knew Shedeur's limitations. Why I personally was so high on Shedeur is because I'm high with quarterbacks that have great intangibles. I think Shedeur is a great leader. He is very clutch. He is extremely accurate, and he does not get rattled. Those are really big proponents, and he thrives in the moment. Like, not only is he clutch, he wants the moment. He wants the ball.
I got a question.
In those moments, I want a quarterback like that. Yes.
Do you think he's going to be able to be a great leader when it's not a whole bunch of 19 and through 21-year-olds who knows your dad is Deion Sanders and is the head coach?
Yeah.
Yes, I do, because I don't think – because even more so as more than grown men, young niggas is going to look at that like, nigga, you had everything handed to you. Like, nigga, like, because Shedeur wasn't playing with no private school prep kids. He was playing with niggas that was from that. So it was like, when you looking at Shedeur, if you see, one thing about us, we going to see some bullshit. We going to notice some bullshit. Right. So if they would have got up there and saw this little father-son relationship was way too much, it was some bullshit, it was phony, it was for the cameras, you would have seen that. Somebody would have come out and said that. It would have been something to show for that. I think from 4 years of this has been the system, and every teammate, every offensive lineman, defensive coordinators have come out and been like, we love this kid. He's a great leader. He's a great person. I think that just shows you the character of who he is.
That was such a great question. You really do be podding. I ain't gonna lie. You be podding. You've been podding today.
That was a phenomenal question.
Is why I think this is such a great question, because if you would have asked that question a week ago, I would have been 1,000% correct with you. Because if Shedeur would have went Jackson State, daddy's the coach, Colorado, daddy's the coach, 3rd overall pick, Giants, or whatever they were, I think it's harder to be a leader in that position.
Yeah. Because
it's been like, handed to you, Deion Sanders, your dad, he got you drafted. And with the quality of player he was, if he would have went third, I think it's harder to be a leader in that circumstance.
Right.
But what you're seeing now from the Browns players who have spoken out, the people who believe in him even more now because he is that 5th round draft guy.
Right.
Like the same way they believed in, I don't want to evoke his name, but like the same way they believe in Brady's 6th round draft guy. Like you are here because you are the 5th QB on this roster and would not quit. So if Shedeur is able to turn it around in Cleveland, like if we look at the Cleveland QB room, I'm not going. Dylan Gabriel, he'll be a coach in like a year and a half. Kenny Pickett's not an NFL quarterback.
Why you writing off Dylan?
He's bad. He's bad.
He wasn't bad in college. He was a Heisman.
Everything you said about Shedeur, he's worse than Shedeur, and he's 5'11".
And
he's a better athlete.
Listen. When you're doing draft interviews to be a backup quarterback, I'm not worried about him being the starter next year. Like that's the thing for Shedeur. Shedeur cannot be a backup. Yeah. So when he's going into camp, he needs to be trying to compete with 40-year-old Joe Flacco. I don't know if he's better than 40-year-old Joe Flacco because Joe Flacco's 40 years old. He get hit hard enough. He may not have to be better than Joe Flacco. So I think if he is able to go from 5th round out the mud, David Njoku said something. I think Denzel Ward said something. They are going to rally around him because, like you said, like us, we know some bullshit. We also know the NFL niggas hate the business of the NFL.
Yes.
And that's what this Brown shit looks like, where it's a lot of business. Like first day of training camp, you don't think they're looking at Dylan Gabriel like, why the fuck did we draft this nigga? And then draft Shedeur.
But what if he goes out there and performs better than Shedeur in training camp?
He ain't performed better than him in college.
I just don't think that would be true.
He didn't have Travis Hunter.
He played on Oregon. He had the best supporting cast in the league.
That's not true.
Oregon weapons was crazy. Like Travis Hunter, for sure. That number 1 wide receiver. Shedeur at Oregon is a Heisman finalist.
Jimmy Horn, no, he's not.
Yes, he is.
No, he is not.
Yes, he is.
What?
No, he is
Shedeur
not.
at Oregon last year with that personnel is a Heisman finalist. Stop it.
Name me 3 players that played on Oregon's offense.
Listen, when I play NCAA Mutt. I play Ultimate Team.
Tez Johnson, the big ass tight end Ferguson, my nigga. And I can't remember that last receiver name.
You can name 3 players that played in Colorado's though.
That's because I watched every Colorado
game for 2 years. Does Travis Hunter on defense count?
No.
Okay, so
we talking about strictly
I
offense.
I can name 3 niggas that play for Colorado. It's Travis Hunter, Shiloh, and fucking Shedeur. Like,
you can name Jimmy Ward. You can name LaJohntay Wester. LaJohntay Wester was balling for Colorado.
LaJohntay Wester, dog. I like
Jimmy Horn was balling for Colorado. Like,
there
were points at time where people thought Colorado had the best receiving core in the nation besides Ohio State.
I think you are right that people would know more of Colorado's supporting cast, but how much of that is Deion Sanders' coach and his dad is the son, and they are the biggest college football scorer.
Well, I'm a college football guy,
league,
so I knew Jimmy Horn was supposed to come to Georgia out of high school.
Really?
Yes. Okay. He chose South Florida because I think Georgia offered him too late. Okay. That's another story for another day. But I just think there's a world where Dylan Gabriel might just be like they might just be equal.
At that size.
I want to finish.
How tall is Shedeur? Like 6'1"?
6'2".
6'2",
yeah.
He's 3, and that's the thing.
5'11",
at Dylan Gabriel's height, it's not good enough for him to be tied with Shedeur, though.
Aren't you a Baker Mayfield guy?
No, I hate Baker Mayfield.
And Baker Mayfield.
I don't like Drew Brees either.
And Baker Mayfield has
Tom Brady's 6'5". That's what I like at quarterback.
How tall is Drake May?
Drake is 6'3", I think. Drake is big.
I do want to continue.
Pause that.
Because
you know, no pause. 10 big in New England.
Shedeur is in a position that no athlete has been in before.
Yeah.
What you mean?
Shedeur's dad is the greatest athlete ever.
Let's
he is
really
maybe. No, I mean it's Deion Sanders though.
But let's reel it back.
Deion Sanders the
for
only
the
person,
sake of the argument.
Deion Sanders the only person to score a touchdown and hit a home run the same week.
But let's reel it back a little bit.
But
he is one of the greatest.
We can have the debate in a second.
Yeah,
for my point,
let's do that next.
He is the greatest athlete ever.
Yeah.
There is no athlete that has a dad like Prime that came into the spotlight as well and has shown that he has talent in his sport and not a Bronny James situation. No offense to Bronny because I'm on his side in that. But not a Bronny James situation, not a Scottie Pippen Jr. situation. Shedeur is a star. Shedeur is a real star. There hasn't been an athlete that has come into this situation. And then not only is Shedeur a star, the way Prime has carried himself since Prime has been in the spotlight is unlike any other athlete ever. And Prime is one of those people where you love him or you hate him. Yeah. There is no in between because of who he is and who he has made his brand to be. The problem that Shedeur had was he acted as if he was Prime. Yeah, you're not. He acted as if he had the talent Prime had when he came out. Yeah. And the reason he acted like that was because Prime told him he could. And the reason I know Prime told him he could act like that is because Shiloh wasn't acting like that. Yeah. There's another son on this team that is trying to get to the NFL that has NFL talent and was a potential draft pick, and he got treated in the draft process completely different. You didn't hear about Shiloh's interview problems. Yep. You didn't hear about Shiloh not showing up at workouts. You didn't hear about none of that from Shiloh because he was honest with Shiloh. Yeah. Shedeur was getting fed bad information from Prime, and Prime was getting fed bad information from his friends in the NFL. Because people weren't being honest with how the NFL viewed Shedeur. From the history of this Prime, Shedeur, Sanders family and what we have seen from them, one thing I know about Prime is he is honest. Yeah. Because he got up after that Kansas State game and said Shiloh played terrible. This is awful. This is atrocious. After Shedeur had that bad game in Nebraska, boy was bad. I don't know who that was on that field. He's honest with them. I know for a fact if Prime would have got fed information that, they don't view him as a top 2 quarterback in this class. They think this Tyler kid might be better than him. They think Jackson Dart might be better than him. He needs to show up at everything. Shedeur would have shown up at everything. Right. But because he was getting fed the wrong information, he carried himself as if he was a lock for the number 2 pick. And if you're not a lock for the number 2 pick and the NFL views you as a backup, which they showed you they do, you can't be a media circus. That is why Cam Newton never got another job. That's why Tim Tebow never got another job. That's why Brett Favre had to retire.
Aaron Rodgers is about to retire.
That's why you had Aaron Rodgers is about to. You can't have media circuses.
We're gonna talk about your boy too.
As backup quarterback.
I forget. We're gonna talk about your boy too.
You can't. You simply cannot have that in an NFL franchise. They have shown you time and time again they don't want to deal with that. But on the flip side, the NFL was absolutely trying to teach him a lesson because the Tyler Stroh pick, the Jalen Milroe pick, and the Dylan Gabriel pick, most of all, shows you they were trying to teach him a lesson. Yeah. They were trying to show him, humble yourself or we will embarrass you. Yeah. The Shield is the brand. Yep. You are not the brand. You are not the face of anything. You are a part of a brand. You are not the face of a brand. And they wanted him to know that. They wanted him to feel that. So they embarrassed him. And I know they felt this way because Andrew Berry got on that phone right after he drafted him, one of the biggest, best moments of his life, after an embarrassing weekend, and said, nothing's going to be given to you. Yeah. Why are you saying that? Yeah, why is that an assumption that you think he's just assumed shit is going to be given to him? It's because of how he carried himself for one, and the messages the NFL wants to send to him too. So this is not one of those situations where I think the NFL is completely wrong or I think Shedeur is completely wrong. I think it's 60% NFL, 40% Shedeur, 30% Shedeur, and the rest is on Prime and his sources. But I think Shedeur is going to be a great quarterback. I think in a couple of years, Shedeur will have the Cleveland Browns back on track. Well, on track, there's no back on track to get to. Yeah. But I think the Cleveland Browns will be a formidable team for the foreseeable future. He will be the starting quarterback week 1 because he's that talented. He is that guy. He is that leader. And there's a reason Mel Kiper was on TV saying he's a future Hall of Famer. There's a reason Bucky Brooks was on NFL Network saying he's better than Cam Ward. We just are trying to nitpick Shedeur, and we're not nitpicking everybody else because he's Prime's son. He's been in the spotlight, so we want to find something wrong with him. Literally. We want to find something wrong with him, and that was the problem that Shedeur was facing. Shedeur doesn't miss. Everybody's talking about his size. He doesn't have the strongest arm. There are maybe 6 times a season where you need to throw the ball 65 yards on a rope. Right. Everything else is 5 to 40 yards. And he can make all of those throws, and he doesn't miss. He is the most accurate quarterback in the class. He has the best intangibles in the class, along with Cam Ward. I do like Cam Ward's intangibles. And he is amazing in the pocket. He lives in the pocket. He prefers to play in the pocket. All of the other stuff will come. The progressions will come. Kevin Stefanski will help him with the progressions and make it easy on him. I expect big things from Shedeur, but the NFL was trying to teach him a lesson, and Prime could have done better.